I'm really happy to be back talking to you, Lance. In fact, I'm publishing this week the last one in our podcast series on optimizing health and happiness. So for those of you that haven't seen Lance in that, go and watch those. But today, Lance and I are really going to be talking about something that is so, so dear to both our hearts, because we call it the quantum spark of life. And by the end of this interview, you should really see why. Before I delve into why we're both so passionate about this, Lance, you have been on the Truth Tour. You've been traveling around and meeting people. How are you doing and how are you feeling about things?
Great, Catherine. It was really fun. I went to I went to both of the tours, Truth Tour 1 and 2. So I spoke at 4 different times, and all of them were really unique and different in their own ways. All of them were very positive and, really high vibe. And it was also really good to hear different perspectives from people and, discern what I feel as truth, talk with others, hear what they feel, and just get different perspectives so that we can ultimately all just, come to what we believe is truth and understand and learn more. Those events are so awesome for learning. Like we were talking about before, is just you get so many different perspectives and you can just take in so much information. And being there in person, you can really interact with people that you're interested with and things like that. So I enjoyed it, and Lewis and the whole crew did an awesome job putting it on. Really top notch. And I think that there's maybe another one coming. I don't want to speak for them, but I can definitely see that happening, given the success of it. And ultimately, I just think that it was an awesome event. I was very happy to be there.
Fantastic. Yeah, I applaud, everyone's skill set, because everyone's got different passions. And the thing is, we are complex beings. The planet is a complex being. There's lots of different aspects to health and wellness, to creating the future we want. And you and I talk a lot about energy in a lot of our talks, and this quantum spark of life that we're going to be talking about, humic and fulvic acid. Lance, when I heard that you had managed to source this amazing supply of it, I was so excited because I work with animals. I've been working with humic and fulvic acid for about 15 years, and I know how difficult it is to get hold of a good quality one. But I also know how life transforming it is, because we as a human race have managed to cock up a lot of things on the planet, in terms of soil being one of them. But when you know where to look, nature really does have all the answers when we humans haven't messed it up. And you've managed to find one of these great answers. Talk us through why you were so excited to source this.
So back in 2013, I actually came across the information about fulvic and humic acid. And I remember reading it, and really just, it was on a website, and it was a lot of information. There's pages and pages worth. So I went through it for, a couple weeks, just like going through it and just learning and digging. And I ended up buying a product myself and started using it. I could feel the benefits, immediately, because of what it's doing. And so I just really started to understand of how powerful it is. And I knew that I wanted to not only take it myself and help get it to my friends and family, but also provide this for the world, because it's a substance that's so powerful and amazing. Like, we need it. And it has not been in the foods, in the supplements, and just really in most of the nutrition that we eat on a daily basis.
Yeah, you're so right. And one of the beauties of trying things out on animals, we must have discovered it about the same time, actually, because that's very similar to when I did. And because I've worked so much with animals, but at that stage, particularly horses, what I was seeing is a devastating effect of the mass agriculture on horses, and also the effects of the pesticides, the herbicides, the glyphosate on the microbiome, absolutely devastating for all aspects of their health. And the transformation I found, I was actually involved with some of the starters of the glyphosate project. And one of the things this amazing humic and fulvic acid, so long as it's sourced properly, and we're going to come on to that, can do, is they've actually proved that it can take the toxins, the pesticides, the herbicides out of the body. And there's a lot of studies that have been done on this, and it is absolutely phenomenal. So I've seen numerous animals' health you know, turned around, but it is very difficult to get hold of a good one. So if no one's heard of humic and fulvic acid before, talk us through where it comes from.
Yeah, so I'm going to share this. Can you see this right now, Catherine?
Yes, yeah, I can. Thank you. And obviously we'll put the link to this below the video.
Yeah, so this humic and fulvic acid for detoxification, voltage, brain health, and DNA synthesis. So that's sort of just like a little topic of what we'll just briefly get into. But okay, what fulvic and humic acid is, it's a end result of decomposed organic matter and material. So plants, twigs, leaves, just different organic compost that's in the soil. And this can actually decompose and break down over thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of years to create this fulvic and humic acid. And so what it's doing is it actually has all the different compounds that at the genetic level of these different plants and organisms breaking down into this organic matter to where all that genetic material is literally packaged very tightly together. And so it's concentrated. And so what fulvic acid and humic acid is it's a strong electrolyte and free radical scavenger, but it's also carrying different nutrients into cells. But I'll get into that shortly. So there's this incredible quote of, really what this is and how powerful it is by the soil scientist, William Jackson. And he said, if the creator felt it necessary to design something to solve multiple problems, and if this creator wanted to show us the magic and miracles of pulling rabbits from a hat, then an outstanding job was done with the design of fulvic acid. So he's not exaggerating it at all with that quote. It really is that incredible. This is a little photo. It's an alchemical fermentation photo process. I really like this photo because it's bringing in the old alchemy and the old art with this. And this is what's going on essentially is the organic is being fermented and decomposed to then rise back up and become this glorious, magnificent substance. So in Chinese medicine, they actually call humic and fulvic acid, well, specifically fulvic, they call it wu jin san, which means golden medicine. Okay, so it has a golden color. Humic acid is a larger compound and fulvic acid is smaller and is actually naturally contained within humic acid. So, what we have is both of them. And humic actually acts as a fantastic prebiotic. It will help feed our own native good bacteria. So unlike other fibers, they're beneficial, but certain fibers will only feed certain strains of bacteria. Okay, so only certain strains of good bacteria will grow and proliferate, whereas humic acid is universal and that all the good bacteria can actually feed off of it. So that really helps us all in unique ways because we all have different microbiomes and different good bacteria in us that we want to keep help flourishing.
And this is why it's so important. I mean, what I love about this is I'm passionate about, nature really, really does have all the answers. And anyone who observes animals in nature will know they're very selective about which soils they will lick and ingest and why, because they've got the sensory capacity to pick this out. And us humans have lost some of that because we rely so much on speech as our communication method. But I've seen huge transformations in all species. And what I love about your product is we can use it for our dogs and cats as well, which is very, very much needed because most people understand, don't they, now that our soils generally are so depleted. So how did you find this source of humic and fulvic?
So so I knew the source that we wanted to get. I had just come across them. And basically just started working with them to ensure that we could do this. It is here in the United States. I can't say the exact location, but it's on very sacred, blessed land for sure. The product itself is blessed. And what we actually do is we, without any harsh chemicals or heat to extract, we do an extraction process that actually will grind it down a little bit more. So our humic compound is 20 times smaller than the average humic acid compound, which means it's going to have greater absorbability and it can get into cells even more efficiently. and, you know, actually do what it's supposed to do with that.
And I think this is one of the beauties of sort of balancing science with nature, because nature's put it there for us, but because unfortunately most of us, whether we're human, dog, cat, etc., our microbiomes are so challenged now for all the reasons that I think everyone watching knows about. Being able to give us this extra help by grinding it down more is going to make it, because it's lacking in our day-to-day diet, is going to make it much more bioavailable for the cells in the body. And in fact, the fulvic can cross the blood-brain barrier, can't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's what I want to talk about next, of like what this stuff is actually doing. So the size of the fulvic acid, it's so small, it can cross the blood-brain barrier. And so what that's going to do is it actually will bring in nutrients into the cells, and fulvic acid can actually detox. So it's well known that it can literally chelate heavy metals. So it binds to heavy metals and will literally pull them out and get it into the circulatory system to then be excreted later through the liver, or processed and then rid of. At the same time, it's nature's strongest electrolyte and free radical scavenger. There's 14 tetratrillion electrons that it can donate or receive, so it can go both ways, which is incredible. And that's 14 with 21 zeros. So this is why we call it the quantum spark of life, because this number like literally is quantum. You know, this is an unfathomable number of electrons that it can donate or receive to scavenge free radicals. And this is what we want. So it's doing this on every cell at the cellular level. And so people ask, what is it good for? Well, it's actually helping a lot of different things, because if you can get down to the cellular level of scavenging free radicals, carrying nutrients in, pulling waste out at the same time, it's going to help. Another thing that's really an anomaly with this, Catherine, is that it is an electrolyte itself, even though it isn't a mineral itself. Okay. And that's unique in nature. So it has literally this like this golden spark of life, this voltage that it's giving to the cells so that they can do what they need to do. Like we need voltage at the end of the day, the cells, we need light and electricity. And this is what the humic is doing. It's supplying all these negative ions, all these free radicals, or all these electrons that the mitochondria then use to do everything that they need to do to stimulate energy production and keep the cell moving and living. And, you know, kind of tying this all together, we know from different quantum physicists and scientists and researchers who talk about mitochondria, they actually view them as mini suns. Dr. Courtney Hunt, she talks about this in different ways. So the mitochondria is like literally like a mini sun. And when you're feeding it all of those electrons from this golden substance, it's literally like this beautiful alchemical process that's happening from nature within the body.
And of course, this is so important for cellular communication as well. And I've been speaking about this a lot because, you know, I do work with various different products because the body is complex and the environment is complex. So all of these things are really linking in together. And what I'm always looking to do, which is why I love this product so much, is what we're looking to do here is put back what nature intended us to be taking on a daily basis through our food source. And unfortunately, because of the way our supply chain, our food growing, our modern agriculture has gone, that hasn't been possible for a long while. And trust me, folks, when you start to see what this will do for you and your animals, you will see it results very, very quickly, which is so, so important. Just before we go on to a bit more about how it works, one of the things that always comes to my mind when you're talking about the sourcing, and I know you can't give away the exact sourcing, but it's the sustainability side of things, Lance. Knowing you, I know that you'll have that in hand.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, humic and fulvic, it can be in the soil depending where you're at. And then actually having a place to get a lot of it can be difficult, but there's several deposits around the world, but it is important to get, I mean, you know, we wanted to get what we view as the best. And so ensuring that there's no the word isn't over harvesting, but basically taking too much. And fortunately, where we're at, there's literally an abundance of this. And again, like you only need so much. It's such a small amount that
Yeah.
this stuff, nature creates it. It's endless, truly. Uh, where in certain locations. So that's what we've done to make sure that it's, you know, sustainable and that we're not taking too much and that we're just doing it the right way.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So obviously energy, most people watching this understand that we are all energetic beings, and keeping that energetic input there and communication is absolutely key. And this is what this wonderful, wonderful molecule does, because apart from actually looking at the safe chemical free extraction and the size, you're not altering it much at all, are you?
No, exactly. It's staying the same. We're just making it smaller so
Yeah.
that it has greater accessibility into the cells. And you said something earlier about cellular communication, Catherine, and I'll kind of tie this back with the electrolyte and the voltage. You can view humic and fulvic as literally like a little mini battery charger because it's supplying those negative ions or those electrons. It's literally just like a little trickle charge constantly being supplied. So that's why people typically do feel just better overall. They feel like they have more mental energy, more physical energy, and that it's just, you know, really beneficial. You know, there's different ways that it does this too. You were talking about the pesticides
Yeah.
and radioactive substances. So yes, it is known that fulvic can literally neutralize some radioactive substances and convert and render harmless some pesticides. And, you know, I think the more that they study it, they're going to find that it's probably doing it to more than just some, and probably most, if not all. And that's really important because that's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to literally clean the soils, especially like, you know, here in the United States, where a lot of different corn and soy and different crops are grown that have used so many pesticides. That soil can and will regenerate, and humic and fulvic can play a huge role in helping to accelerate it so much faster.
Yeah, and I've been involved because one of the companies that I was working with in Austria with this did some amazing work on the soil regeneration with using humic and fulvic as part of their formula. So I know I've seen the results for myself at how it is. And this is what we're doing, folks, is we're looking at using these substances that are part of the natural cycle of life. So using in the right way and the way that nature wants us to use it, so that we're sort of completing that energetic cycle in a natural way.
Exactly, Catherine. So, you know, there's a lot more information we could talk about, but those are like really the highlights of this. And like you said, people feel it. I do want to discuss different ways that people can use it.
Yes, please.
So you can take the capsule as you wish, and I would suggest for someone to just start with one a day, at least for the first few days. You can go up to two, but just be aware it is certainly very powerful. Yeah, with perfect, Catherine. Perfect. And so it can have detoxing effects for the first few days if a person, you know, really has a lot of different, you know, metals or different toxins in them. Those things can get chelated out and it can make it uncomfortable. And that's not to say everyone's going to feel it. Most people actually won't. But just to be aware, like if someone starts feeling worse afterwards, it's most likely a detoxification effect, and it will pass. You know, but just be smart with it. Drink a lot of water. Some people will also do it before doing a sauna or sweating or exercise. All that's very beneficial. You can literally make a clay mask out of it. You can use it as any sort of like topical on skin to kind of just help, you know, help in different ways that will help pull out, again, any sort of like gunk or anything going on skin. If you just need to help the appearance of the skin, it can help with that. You can put it in shampoo as a good detoxing like shampoo. You really want to condition well afterwards, but that's a great way to use it. Also foot baths, full on baths, or for children, like a baby's bath, a bath in the sink, or however, like just a regular bath. children and babies can definitely benefit from it. I would not suggest taking it internally for kids. We have directions on the website. You can do powder. You can pull out the capsule, dump
Yeah.
out the powder, and just do a little bit in a juice or a smoothie for kids. That's fine. But you would really want to make sure the kids are, at least a few years old or more. And for babies, any sort of like a little bath as a detox, that's a gentle, safe way. And just really smart, start off with a small amount, because you don't want to, pull things out too fast, too quickly, because that really can not be beneficial.
Yeah. And I've been talking a lot, Lance, about the detox process as a healing process, because that's what it is. But it's, as you say, it's very sensible to go at the pace that's right for you or your animals. What I do with the animals is I just break open the capsule and just use a tiny bit, because believe me, you really don't need a lot of this. So, one capsule can last several days for even a dog. So always start off slow, but it's really beneficial for a little bit for your dog or cat as well. And they'll really thank you, because unfortunately they tend to accumulate even more toxins than us humans. I'm so pleased you've brought this out. I think it's really reasonable priced. Folks, I've been through this with Lance in great detail. It is a fantastic product. The quality is fantastic. I think the price entry point that you've put it on is really, really reasonable. Anything else you want to share with it about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. And the price, that again is something that we wanted to do. We wanted to really make sure this was affordable for as many people as possible, because it is that important. We really wanted to get this out there. Now it is. It's a perfect combination with the pine needle extract.
Yeah.
The whole situation. Pine needle extract with humic and fulvic, great for cardiovascular health support, detoxification support, brain health. All the things we've talked about, but particularly right now, those two are of a lot of interest to people.
Yeah. So if you've got friends and family members, it might be a great Christmas present for them. Because even if that's what I do with my family, is they all get health products for Christmas presents. So, I'm really, thank you so much for bringing that out. If people have got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below, because we will look at the comments and answer as many as we can. But, these are the type of things I always recommend people have on their shelf so that they can use as and when they need to, because we have got these challenges on them. For me, it just gives such peace of mind knowing that we've got the solutions there, and even better that nature's got the solutions, because I trust things that nature provided us a lot more than I trust most of the man-made ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lance. Really grateful for your time, for sharing this with us. And there is a 10% off discount code below as well. And Lance, you'll send me the link to that article so we can put that below the video. So for those of you like me that love to read up more about it, there'll be lots of information there that can satisfy your curiosity. Thanks.
Thank you, Catherine.
Speak soon. Bye.